You guys ready for some real healthcare? We are lucky to have on Melissa Dyer from Covenant Natural Health in our own backyards in Florence, Kentucky. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself, Melissa?
Yes, thank you for the introduction. I am so excited to be doing this with you all. Yes, I'm Melissa Dyer. I'm a registered nurse. We are here in Florence, Kentucky. I've grown up here, lived here my entire life. We're on Houston Road. Our clinic is on Houston Road, and then we also have another clinic in Fort Wright. I'm not good with directions, but it's over by the Fort Wright restaurant. Everybody seems to know where that is. So I am just on a mission to help as many people as I can to get the truth about what true healthcare is and to heal their body and get their health back and change the health of their families. So it's my mission in life.
Thank you, because you've helped my family and myself with our ailments. So we truly appreciate you and your team.
That makes me so happy. Thank you. Thank you for, I always, when people thank me, I'm like, thank you for your trust because it's hard to know who to trust anymore. And with the internet, there's so much out there. You're just inundated with take this, don't take that. This can cause you harm. This is great for you. And you have no idea. Before I found this Covenant Natural Healthcare, I took over for a naturopathic doctor. And before I found this, I was in the same boat. You're just kind of wandering through trying to figure out what to do. And when I found this, it just felt like, okay, I'm secure, I am safe, this is it. And trying to convince people of the same thing when I first started was difficult because I was still trying to learn how to explain it and how to encourage people to trust me when I was new. And so now that I've gotten some experience under my belt, this will be 13 years. I feel like I can gain people's trust much faster and easier, but it's such an honor to know that somebody is willing to trust their health in my hands and in the staff that I have here. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I can tell you my testimony is I was so impressed. The first thing you guys told me to do was do a food journal. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then we paid attention, write everything down. And I'm like, dang, I think eat meat and cheese for every meal. That's kind of crazy. I didn't even realize that. Like you're putting it in your mouth, but you don't really realize it doesn't register what you're doing. And then when you guys actually counsel us on the nutrition part, that is like the biggest piece of our health and nutrition. And you will not get that from any of these doctors. They've never talked to me about actual foods I should and shouldn't be eating. And you guys actually tested for that. You educated us on the water. Like every time I go in there, I'm getting pieces of education that no doctor has ever even gone over in the remote sense of it.
Right. No, and I love that feedback because I know it's a little daunting for some people. I eat really good. I don't need to write that down. And I usually tell those people, if you're not willing to write it down, then you're probably not going to be a good fit for this program. Mainly because you're right. We tell everybody 75%, at least 75% of what you're putting in your mouth from your food is going to determine how successful you are with our program. So you can't out supplement a bad diet. So if somebody is not willing to make changes and they're still wanting to do fast food multiple days a week and not give up their diet soft drinks or soft drinks in general, you're just going to need more and more supplements, which is more and more costly and it's not sustainable. And that's not the goal. I mean, I'm constantly telling people, I want you to spend less money in supplements and more money in the good quality foods for your entire family. So you're giving to your entire family by changing the food and the products that you're using versus you alone taking the supplements and nobody else in your face. So it's kind of a little selfish, really. I'm like, you got to be doing all of this. So don't just have the little cabinet of supplements for yourself. Change your food for your entire family. And then I'm always telling the younger people, I'm like, be the trendsetter. Go tell these other kids you're going to school with, like, no, I don't eat that stuff because they feel left out or they feel like they're going to get made fun of. And I'm like, well, change your attitude and be the one that tells them that they're not healthy. Like, get people on board. We got to get these younger people aware. But I love that. And because people don't like doing the food journal, but it is the only way. I think that they look at it as I'm going to judge or we as practitioners, all of us, but myself, like, I'm going to judge what you're eating, and I'm going to be like, well, no wonder you feel bad. Look at what you're eating. And I'm like, no, it's for you to have awareness of what you're putting in. Because I'll say, look for sugar or look for things that have sugar in it. And they're like, oh, I don't eat any sugar. And I'm like, okay, well, start looking at your ingredient lists of food you're eating. And they come back literally the next week and they're like, everything has sugar in it. My soup has sugar in it. My salad dressing has sugar. I'm like, I know that.
Even bread. Even bread.
Yeah, everything, unless you are specifically finding those things that do not.
Right.
So I love that. I love that that meant something to you, because it is so critical. It's a critical piece.
What was nice is that your team, they'll go through your diet and they'll say, well, you like ranch dressing. Well, here's an alternative. So they had an alternative for almost everything that we were eating, which was great. So going and finding those are a little bit more challenging, and they were helpful. They would tell us, okay, well, you can get this here or get that there.
Yeah. Well, I love food. And I always tell people, I'm like, I grew up on a horrifically bad diet. I mean, it was bad. I don't think I've seen anyone's food sheets in 13 years that could have looked as bad as mine from the time I was able to eat solid foods. And my mom's always like, quit blaming me. I'm like, I'm not blaming you. You didn't know. But man, I don't know. I can't imagine sending my kid to school with a Coke and a blueberry bagel. I mean, that's what I have for breakfast every day. And, then I wonder why I was so bad at math. I'm like, well, I couldn't think straight. I was so hyped up on sugar and, my carb crash. So, but I feel like I want to find things that are enjoyable to my taste buds, but I don't feel guilty about. So I love that I'm constantly buying things to try so that I can tell people, okay, so you want a good ranch, like you said, or you want a better bread. Here are the options that are out there. And yeah, it might be a little bit difficult. So you can't just go to Kroger and buy everything at Kroger, although they have come a long way. Mm-hmm. But again, with that, when I hear people say like, well, it's just not convenient to do that. Like, that's where we have to have those, those tough moments, that tough love, I call it, of, well, how bad do you want to feel better? Mm-hmm. How bad do you want to make these changes and get to the next level of what you're trying to achieve? So we try. And to your point of doctors never saying that, talking about nutrition, I am blown away. I don't think I have ever had anybody answer this question the way that I would like to hear it, but I'll say, has your doctor talked to you at all about what you're eating? The answer is always no, or they literally are just like, I've never heard that my eating could have any impact on what I'm feeling. And for example, I had a guy tell me that he had really, really bad kidney stones, and his doctor told him, I don't care what you drink, as long as it's liquid and you're getting 64 ounces. So he, in his mind, heard, oh, well, that I can just drink 64 ounces of my Mountain Dew. And I said, you told your doctor you drink 64 ounces of Mountain Dew a day? And he said, yeah. He said, that's fine. And I'm just like, that is criminal to me. That person needs to be in handcuffs, in my opinion. Like, that is not right. But that's what these people are being told. And it is very sad.
Well, how I actually discovered you guys is I have a client that comes to see me with rheumatoid arthritis. And all of her joints, I can feel the heat coming off of them. Her ankles were like grapefruits. And she came in one day and everything was normal. And I was like, what are you doing? Well, like, what happened? Like, this is crazy. And she said, I started going to Covenant. And I said, okay, what'd they give you? Thinking, it's pills or something, because that was my mindset with medicine. When you go to the doctor, they give you pills.
Right. And
she said, well, the first thing I switched is my water. I'm on distilled water. I do not drink anything that comes out of our faucets. And I'm like, really, water? And that's something we consume all day long, every day. It's so important. Right. And I never thought about what water I was drinking. And then she talked about, she had been on a couple of supplements and she changed her diet. And I'm like, well, that's really simple. And you're like, fixed you? That's crazy. So that's when I was like, I want to go. My kid's going to go. Like, we're all going to go. I'm signing everybody up I know, because I saw the proof. I saw the proof of what you guys do. And she didn't have the inflammation. Her little ankles were back to normal and she was functioning better. So I didn't know if you could talk a little bit about the water piece of that.
Absolutely. That is, again, it's one of those things that I am so passionate about. So one of the supplement lines that we use, I just love their mission. I love their heart. I love that they are, every time I go, it's just giving glory to God and just all the things that he gives us on this earth that can help heal the body. And that just ministers to my heart because that is what I'm most passionate about. But the first time I went, they were talking about how they do evaluations on their clients that come in for initial consultation. So the very first visit, they do their evaluation, they get their assessment, they do all the things that we do here. And then they tell the person, okay, now I want you to go home. I want you to switch your water to distilled water. I'm going to have you come back in a week and we're going to redo the entire evaluation. And every time the person says, I already feel better. They have taken no supplements. They have not changed anything in their diet. They have done nothing but change their water. And they, some people will have little things like, I feel more thirsty though. I'm thirstier. Well, that's because your body's like, oh my gosh, this is actually real water. I'm not consuming a ton of toxins, which your body is so smart that when you're drinking the water out of the tap with thousands of chemicals and toxins in there, people are like, well, I just don't want water. I don't like to drink water. Good. Because if that's what you're drinking, your body's telling you don't do it. Mm-hmm. So then when they start drinking distilled, they're wanting more of it, but they're looking at it as a negative because they're like, I'm so much thirstier and then I can't stop going to the bathroom. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. You want to flush. Your kidneys are like, thank you. I've been holding on to all this stuff. So when they said that, I was floored because I was always taught you don't ever drink distilled water. Like that is only for your iron. That is only for appliances. So it doesn't calcify, get junked up in there. And I was just like, okay, well, if it is meant to be for an appliance so that it doesn't get all junked up in there, then why would we put the stuff that does get all junked up in our bodies? So I love this company and I trust them. So anything they say, I'm like, okay, I'm on board. So I bought a distiller and we've been drinking the distilled water. And at the time I had an employee that when I came back and I'm like, okay, they're going to be like, she has lost her marbles. She's telling us to drink distilled water. So I was talking to this young girl that I had at the time and she said, oh, I grew up on distilled water. That's all my mom would ever let us drink. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, she knew a long time ago that was the healthiest water. So I love distilled for the purpose of the way that they explained it. And then the research I've done, the distillation process is you're boiling water and you're getting the vapors of the boiling water. So it's the vapor that is completely 100% clean of all the toxins. That's what's going through and becoming the water that we drink or that is making it distilled. Of course, we should be getting our minerals through our food, but since that's not always doable or people aren't there yet, we do encourage people to remineralize their water. And you can either do that through supplements that we have, or you can do that through sea salt or Himalayan salt, just putting some in your water. And then there are also bottled water out there now. Smart Water is distilled. Kroger has the Simple Truth brand that is distilled. So there are options of bottled water. I personally don't like drinking out of plastic. So that's why I just immediately bought the distiller for my house and my office so that it's in glass. But I asked the doctors that told us about the distilled, I'm like, what happens with these people that are going to say, but I'm drinking out of plastic? Their answer to that was simple. They said, we would rather somebody drink plastic that is toxic and we don't want them to do, but we would rather them get the toxins from the plastic that their body can start to filter out once we start giving them supplements and their body's able to properly detox, versus drink the thousands of toxins that they're getting through refrigerated filtered water, tap water, other filters that are doing minimal to get the water clean. And I thought, okay, so drinking out of plastic jugs is not the most ideal, but I would much rather the same. And if these people are drinking out of jugs of distilled and still feeling better with only a week, then I too would rather them get the plastic, which I don't love. And, I have some people that, kind of come at me with that, like, why would you tell somebody to drink out of plastic? I'm like, yeah, I get it, but you're probably not in a place where you want to spend $500 on a home distiller yet. And if you are, fantastic. But most people aren't. They're not ready on their first or second visit to go drop that kind of money and then fill up a jug every day, multiple times a day. But
so you're using tap water? You use tap water in the distiller?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You just fill up the container. It yields about a gallon, and it does take time. So it's called a countertop distiller, and we get it through My Pure Water. So that's the company that has been at these conferences that we go to, and they are just wonderful to work with. But so it's called their mini countertop distiller. You fill up the container of tap water and you put it in the unit, and turn it on, and it boils it until you get about a gallon. And that gallon takes 3.5 hours to get. So my husband says we could get water out of a rock faster than this. And I'm like, just drink it and let's see how you feel. He started having dramatic energy increase. Like he was already, I mean, he's on a supplement program with me, obviously, but he just wasn't into thinking about his water. So he was just drinking, whatever we had as far as our filtered water at the time. And he could tell a difference. He did go through some of the changes in the beginning. He's like, I just feel like something's off. And I'm like, it's because your body's probably detoxing all the chemicals that were in the other water. Give it a little time. And so now we're sold. But we did end up getting the whole house water filter. So it does come through our refrigerator. It comes through, it's our ice maker is distilled. And with that, our ice, it is like, the first day we had it, I held it in my hand. I was like, look how beautiful it is. I'm like, it's so crystal clear. I mean, you can see straight through it. There's no fog to it. It tastes so good. It's like, it's so crisp and clean. So I'm passionate about the water. So we meet you where you are. I'm not a huge fan of reverse osmosis systems. There's just a lot that can happen to build up fungus in the unit. And we already have enough issues with yeast overgrowth in people's bodies. So it's something I try not to feed into. But again, if that's what they have and they've invested the money, I just tell them to look at their filter, make sure it's cleaned out. They probably need to change it more often than they've been told. But I am 100% on board with distilled.
What about showers? When you take your shower, should that be filtered as well?
Yes. So little testimony with that. So the distilled home filter that I have does not do your shower. It doesn't do the laundry, but I use Dr. Mercola. That's Mercola. So if you go to his website, he has a shower filter that gets out all the heavy metals, chlorine, fluoride, all of that. I really trust Dr. Mercola as well. He is huge with making sure we are not getting all these toxins from the heavy metals and things that are being sprayed in the air and the soil being so depleted. So I love his coffee. I love his olive oil. There's a lot of things I love his water filter. Lots of people dealing with hair loss. And he had an article about changing and getting your water filter on your shower could change your hair. And I've had multiple people say that they could tell right away that they were losing less hair. They were seeing less hair coming out from getting the toxins out of their shower water. It's insane.
Wow, I never even would have thought of that.
Yeah. So then they also have, I don't take a bath, but they have these little bulbs that you put on the main spout for a bath. Because I think about the little kids that are sitting in a bathtub, and especially if it's warm water, it's opening the pores and all those toxins, the chlorine and the fluoride, it's just soaking into our largest organ. So, and that was something else in the very beginning of this journey that I learned, that 1 10-minute shower, hot shower, is equivalent to drinking, like, I can't remember how many gallons of chlorinated water, because our pores are just soaking it in.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So I love that filter, and it's got a really nice water pressure. So again, I do like nice things. I like good food. I like all the makeups, and I like good water pressure. So I'm always trying to find different things that are actually effective, but not taking a shower with a water hose.
My cousin, she had a dog. She still has her, and she had this really aggressive cancer, and they had to amputate one of her legs. And my cousin, she was one of your patients, and she researched and she found this anti-parasitic medicine and started giving it to the dog, and the dog got rid of the cancer.
That's awesome.
No cancer.
Yes. Yep. I feel like that is the root of, I can't say all cancers because I haven't done enough research on there, but it is, I've got quite a few patients. I didn't know because they're on ivermectin and they are getting better. And that's just an animal dewormer. And I'm like, okay, so cancer is going away by giving an anti-parasitic. And then just like what you just said, I'm like, there's a root. And why are we not talking more about, well, I know why we're not talking more about it in the medical world, but I'm like, this is, and us being the only country that doesn't do a parasite cleanse periodically. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's a reason why chemo's bringing in billions of dollars.
My mom, she and Stacy had the same issue. Our parents were diagnosed with cancer. My mom, she did the whole radiation, mastectomy, chemo, and it just zapped her, and her immune system was shot, and she was in remission, for 12 years, and then she got it in her bones. Her C or L2 or something was broken, like her neck was broken. And then she had just one thing after another happen, and they kept giving her medicine, and then they gave her some experimental medicine because nothing else was working.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if that chemo drives the parasites elsewhere in the body.
Yeah.
If it is from parasites in particular, like it can maybe clear out certain areas or something. It just is very odd to me that if you got rid of cancer and you're in remission, how does it then come back?
That's
if it's really...
Yeah, I never really honestly thought about that. And that is, when somebody says something and you've got that feeling like, yeah, that makes 100% sense. I mean, I feel like absolutely it's killing off, let's say, whatever cancer it would be. And then if, yes, it's indeed driving parasites, they're scurrying in there to get away from it. So then they go find another home. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, it's everywhere. So does it just absolutely enhance and create even more of a problem? And I feel like when I see people that have survived chemo, it's almost like I look at it as it's survival of the fittest. It's like if you've been able to walk out of that alive, then it's just that your body was able to handle the destruction. And then you've found a place, hopefully, that you can clean up the mess as much as you can. But most people aren't able to make it out. But you're right, that makes total sense.
Because the chemo kind of kills everything. So if they're killing the food source for the parasite, I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I always say, every time I hear something like this, like where I'm like, we're sitting here, not doctors, making these statements that make so much sense.
I look at you guys and doctors as teachers. Like you're teaching us, you're teaching our bodies, like you're educators. Right. And I actually found a Bible verse yesterday that it talked about, woe to the brethren who want to be teachers. Very few of you should actually be teachers because they're a stricter judgment on you. And they may have it all right now, but eternally, I don't know what that looks like.
Then you talk about if we are teachers, like you're saying, which I love that, then you have to watch out for those false teachers.
Oh, and absolutely.
I always like to tell the story of, how I got here. So I started doing nails. So I was a nail technician as soon as I got out of high school because I did not want to go to college. And I had heard that nail techs made more money than nurses. So that was the nail tech that I went and saw one day. And I was just trying to get a feel for what I wanted to do. And she said, I love doing nails. I was a nurse. I hated that. So nails, I make more money. I can make my own schedule. And it just sounded so appealing to me. So I did it. And I was a nail tech for 12 years. But during that time, I just felt like where I was in my life, I was very young. I got married very young, and we didn't have insurance, and we were thinking about a family, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to have a family when there's not a consistent paycheck and I don't have insurance? And, adult hood started to hit me, and I was like, okay, so maybe I need to do something else. So I'd always wanted to be a pediatrician when I was growing up. I love kids, and I just thought, well, I'm not going to go to medical school at this point because I was about 22, and I just felt like that would take way too long. So I decided I would go to nursing school. So I put myself through nursing school while I did nails. It took me 8 years to get through it, but I persevered and I did it. I went to Northern Kentucky University and I graduated in 2008. I started my first job, even though I wanted to work in pediatrics. I started at St. Elizabeth Edgewood on a med-surg floor. And that was awful. It was terrible for me. I didn't love it because it was just, I always told people that asked me how I was liking it as a nurse. I said, I feel like a glorified waitress. And I love waitresses because I do enjoy blessing them, and they do a fantastic job, so I'm not trying to disrespect, but I just felt like I was maybe an overpaid waitress and an underpaid pharmacist. All I did was pass meds, do the checks that the hospital policies enforce, or else you would lose your bonus, or you could get fired, or you were on probation. Like, it was just so many rules around the house and not enough patient care. I felt like the patients were completely gypped of what I thought a nurse would do. Now I realized that there were things I didn't realize a nurse would do, but I wanted to be the person that could go in and just console them that they're getting ready to go in and have a mastectomy, or talk to this person about, like, your diabetes is causing this amputation, so let's talk to the nutritionist. Well, the nutritionist was like, give them whatever ice cream they want. Like, at this point, they're getting their leg amputated. Like, don't ask questions, just give them their ice cream. And I just, even then, not knowing what I know, I was like, something is just not making sense here. Like, I don't understand why I have to give them more insulin because their diabetes are out of control, but we're not doing anything about the actual diabetes. Like, it did not make sense to me. And I literally had zero knowledge of what we're talking about today. And I think that that's literally that is what God gives us, is that wisdom to know that something's not right. So if we just bury our head in the sand, then we get less and less sensitive to the things that I feel like he's speaking to us about. So I'm grateful that at that time, I just didn't have my head buried in the sand. And I'm like, something just doesn't seem right. So I worked there for a couple of years, and I just got to a point where I'm like, okay, I think working with kids is going to really fill my cup. That's what I need to do, and I'll be happy. So I got my foot in the door at Cincinnati Children's, and I was so thrilled. But it was at the College Hill campus working with autistic children that were in the psych unit. So I was on a unit that was called the dual diagnosed, and that meant that they had autism also paired with something else, whether it be schizophrenia, bipolar, whatever kind of other mental illness they had, but they were also autistic. It was a very violent unit. These kids were extremely aggressive. They were scary. And staff on that unit got beat up like crazy. There was a man that worked there. He had his tibia broke by a kid kicking him. There was a nurse that I worked with, had her retina detached from a kid headbanging her. I mean, it was an intense unit. I, by the grace of God, got out with just a couple bites and some hair pulling, but compared to the others, I made it out safe. But it was very sad. I loved the kids. I loved taking care of those kids. But again, I started seeing things that I just thought, these kids are aggressive, but all we're doing is feeding them sugar and fruit roll-ups with the food dyes and coloring all day long. Like whatever they wanted, they got. And they were so food obsessed. That's all they wanted to do. And the minute you said no, the kitchen's closed, the aggression would start. Like, I'm like, what is this powerful drive to eat sugar? So I started doing my own research, and I started reading that obviously sugar is extremely addictive. So I called, this lady answered the phone, and I told her my story, much less in detail as I am with you. But I told her that I just didn't like what I was doing, and I wanted to know if somebody could guide me into a different direction. And she said, could you hold, please? In my mind, I'm picturing this busy office with a doctor that's like, I don't have time to talk to this girl that wants help. And I'm just picturing like I'm a burden. So I'm on hold for quite a bit. And she comes back to the phone and she said, the doctor's not able to talk to you right now, but can you come in tomorrow for an interview? And I was like, what am I interviewing for? But oh, I'll be there. And I didn't ask that, but I was like, oh, sure. And I told her, I said, I don't have time to update my resume, but she said, bring what you have. That's fine. Well, unbeknownst to me, she's talking to this naturopathic doctor saying, there's a nurse that hates what she's doing. We have potential to bring her in to do what we're doing. He's probably like, I don't care what your resume looks like. Come in, we want to talk. And now knowing that they had their own agenda, and it was a beautiful agenda. So I came in for the interview, and right away, all three of us still talk about how we just knew on the spot that we were meant to be together. So we sat down, had the interview. They did hire me on the spot, but I was like, I don't even know what you do. Like, I still had not seen any type of muscle testing. I did not know what this guy did. All I knew was that he was holistic, and I loved it. I loved the idea of it. But then I also knew I had rent, I had a car payment, I had another job. I'm like, wait a second, I got to get the details here. So it was a huge leap of faith because, of course, I was going to be giving up the nurse's salary, the insurance, all the things that I had gone into nursing for. But I just kept feeling this peace, this nudge of give it a shot. So he said, why don't you come in and shadow me first before you decide? So I walk in and I start shadowing and I see muscle testing. And I immediately was like, nope, I'm not doing it. This is weird. This is too weird for me. I can't wrap my mind around this. And I told somebody just the other day that I felt like it was like I could feel the hands of God like pushing me, like, don't walk out yet. Because I was ready to be like, nope, you are into some weird stuff. I'm not having it. And I just kept getting peace every time I would have that thought, like, no, like, just sit still. Well, the more I saw these people walking out saying, I was getting ready to have my gallbladder removed, and he kept that from happening. I haven't had to have surgery and I feel great. And I left at the end of the day. Everybody was smiling. Everybody was happy. Everybody was so glad they had found this place. I just sat there like, this is what I thought I would be doing as a nurse. So I started working for him, and I absolutely loved it. And he said, we have to be honest with you. We really want to move somewhere warm, and we would like to send you to school and have you take over this practice. And I was just like, I'll do it. So it's been my mission to, whatever the Lord wants to bless and prosper financially, I want to give back. And so I just feel like that's been such an honor to have the other 7 practitioners that I've been able to send them to school and have them get the fulfillment of coming out of the medical community and doing what they really truly sought out to do, which was help people. We refer people to chiropractors that we trust because I think it is such a critical piece, just like I think massage is such a critical piece. I mean, I tell people, do all the things that you can. So if you can go and get massage, go get massage. If you can get to a chiropractor, I think that it is an awesome marriage between all of the things. But you're right, like, the cells are going to hold on to toxins that it doesn't know what to do with. And although adjustments and massage are great to help the body to get rid of some of that, there are so many things that have been put on the earth, like herbs and different whole food supplements, to help detox the body and make sure that the tissues of the organs are doing what they're supposed to be doing so that they can function correctly. And then additionally, getting the massage and doing the chiropractor or whatever modality that people choose to do. I think that it's just such an awesome healthcare plan to keep you out of the doctors. And I always tell people, I'm not trying to take the place of a doctor. And I say to them, if you came to me with your arm severed, you do not want me stitching it back on. Like, you're going to need to go somewhere where they actually can do that. And so they are needed. But I think that we have just trended into everything is just uphill. And what, why aren't we looking at preventing instead of, like, to me, it's sick care. We're not dealing with healthcare. Like, I feel like our clinic and places like us and like massage and chiropractic, those are the places that are true healthcare. The world that we're in, where people are just handed a medication that was intended to be temporary in the first place. Medications, I mean, if you look at the root word of pharma, it's poison. And it's not meant to be a permanent thing. So it was meant to be a temporary fix while the body healed and did what it could do on its own, the way that it was designed to. They are amazing. They are all gifts. I love them. So I have 6 other practitioners that do the muscle response testing that I do. Becky, right there next to me, she is an advanced practitioner. She went to school at the same school that I did. And she's been seeing patients for, I think, 3 years now. Time flies, but she's also my office manager. So we love to say that we are the dynamic duo. I'm the visionary and I've got all these ideas and plans, and she's like, okay, who do I call? And she gets it done. So she is a rock star. Maria, the one next to her, she is a nurse practitioner. And she is also a nutrition response testing practitioner as well. She is awesome. She's a fantastic mom of 4, beautiful, beautiful heart. She loves helping people. And she works at our Florence office, and she sees patients also at the Fort Wright location. So we have Kristen. She was an oncology nurse. So she knows all about the things that we're talking about. They all do. But she is also a mom of 2 boys, and she came to me during the height of all the, mandatory vaccines and said, I will not. And do you have room for another practitioner? And I just fell in love with her heart and her tenacity to stand up for what she knew was right. And absolutely, let's do it. At that time, when she came on, the school that I had gone to, they started doing all their training via Zoom. And I just did not understand how you could do what we do over a computer. So I decided to start training a little bit myself. So with experience and all the information that I needed, I started training her, and she is doing an amazing job. She also has taken a huge passion, as I have recently, in fasting. So she runs our Fasting for Health program as well. So we help people navigate through fasting for their hormones, fasting for weight loss, fasting for basically any kind of symptom that you're dealing with, because in addition to supplements to detox, I really feel like fasting is something that is a huge missing piece that people obviously did way back in the day when it was like a feast or famine type of environment. But we've just again been told breakfast was the most important meal of the day. And that was actually a slogan from cereal companies to market their product. And it actually is not the most important meal of the day. So she runs that program, and people are getting great results. So then there's Julie Emerson. She is also a registered nurse, and she's a mom of 3 boys. So all these wonderful moms with these little kids, and that's what I mean. Like, they're changing our future, and these kids are just taking their supplements and doing a great job. And I love it. But she is also a practitioner that I have trained, but they are all now going through the program that I went through. So they're getting double. They're really going to blow me out of the water someday. So she sees patients here at Florence, and she is doing an amazing job as well. So Julie actually runs our nutrition program. So we offer that via Zoom, and that's where we go over with people looking at ingredient labels versus nutrition facts, like what is actually in the food, how to meal prep, what things to be looking out for, what food items to substitute out, like you were referring to, eat this, not that kind of thing. So she runs that program as well and doing a fantastic job. And then Christy Perry, she is also a registered nurse. Her last job was a school nurse. So she was in this place of, okay, what if they make this mandatory? And I'm fed up with what she was dealing with as a nurse. So she came to me as well. And it's just, I tell people, I feel like Noah, I'm building this ark, and whoever wants to come aboard, let's save the people. So she came to me and also trained her. And then she's going through the program as well. And she's just doing an amazing job too. And she's also seeing patients at our Florence location and the Fort Wright location.
Okay.
Trying to think who's next on the list there. Yep, Michelle. So Michelle Dorr, she is a speech therapist. She has been in the medical community as well, and she was and everybody on my team, by the way, has started as a patient. At this point, it's a policy of mine because I feel like if people don't know and understand what patients are going to go through, there's going to be a disconnect. So everybody that's come to me has started as a patient and has seen what an awesome modality we do and what an awesome team we have. Like, we really truly have a heart to help people. So Michelle started as a patient, got great results, and she decided that she also wanted to come aboard and be a practitioner. So she's our newest practitioner. She's been seeing patients now probably 4 months, and she is killing it. She's doing such an awesome job. She's actually in class at the school that I went to. She's doing that today. So she's starting her 3rd module. And then Allison Flesh, she is our nurse practitioner on staff. So she is what I like to call our nurse practitioner consultant to bridge the gap between the traditional medical community and what we do. So with the muscle testing, obviously I can't see inside the body. I can't see what's going on with blood work. So she is that component. She helps people with different types of hormone testing, different types of gut testing to see. I mean, it's just incredible, some of the things that she can do. But we love the Dutch test, which gives us a really in-depth look at what's going on with the hormones in the body and how people are metabolizing the hormones. And is there too much bad estrogen going on in the body that's toxic, and what's keeping these people from getting well? Is it a thyroid issue? So she does that. She also offers B12 injections for energy and mental clarity. But I love her mindset. She is, when we talk about, oh, we need to go see a holistic doctor or a holistic nurse practitioner, she's made a good point to me before that a lot of these people that are considered holistic, before I got her on my team, patients would come back to me, to people I had referred them to as holistic, and they'd say, yeah, she put me on antibiotics and steroids, and I'm going to be on this for 6 months. And I'm like, that is not holistic. Like, I don't want you going back to that person if you're okay to not. And so when Allison, we call her Allie, when she came on, she said, there's a difference in a true holistic practitioner and one that's just okay with holistic. And I thought, oh, okay. So some of these doctors are completely okay that you're seeing somebody that's giving you supplements. They're like, sure, keep doing it. Whereas others are like, absolutely not. They're killing you. They're a quack. They don't know what they're talking about. So I thought that's a really good way of explaining that. She is very different. She is holistic as they come. Anything she gets back on blood work or the test results that she does, she always goes for a supplement first. She does so much research on what's available to help heal the body with using cod liver oil and, herbs for anxiety. And she has helped so many people. So she is awesome. I absolutely love having her on my team. And she also sees patients here at Florence and at our Fort Wright location.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying she's a wonderful person.
Are we able to bring our kids to do, say, physicals for school? Does she do that?
Absolutely. She does physicals for school, for work. There are physicals that are even needed for foster parents. I don't know exactly what that term is, but she does physicals for all of that. For insurances, some companies require physicals. She can do that as well. Yes.
Do you guys do blood work?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we do tell people with our setup, we don't accept just your traditional insurance. Insurance wants nothing to do with all natural holistic things, and we all figure out why. But certain insurances that people have can be accepted. So health savings accounts, those are generally pretty easy to use here. And then flex savings accounts, those are they get a little bit more dicey, but if if people check with their insurance companies, they can get all or part of things covered here. And with Allison, with her being an actual medical prescriber, so she can prescribe things, a lot of things can get reimbursed from insurance with her, more so than with the supplements and the muscle testing. But That's, obviously I want people to be able to use what they've paid into however
Sure.
they feel like they should. But yeah, she can do blood work. She can do all kinds of things. The only thing she really can't do, she can't prescribe, obviously, narcotics, and she can't prescribe testosterone. So, but we don't have a lot of requests for that. We can get that through our supplements and our eating, so we don't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
Yes. And then there's Marsha. Marsha is she's a patient advocate, but she is also our emotion code practitioner. So I love this modality. It is something that I've been wanting on my team for a long time, and we finally got it. But emotion code is basically doing the muscle testing, but on the emotional side of things. So we all have endured traumas in our life. Whatever that is, big or small. When I say the word trauma, I think people, and they think that I'm insinuating something huge. But it can be trauma to someone, could be something to me that I feel is super insignificant, which nobody's trauma is insignificant. But I always use the example of, trauma to somebody could be being told no as a kid. And that just for some reason has really set them off in a world of every time they're told no, even as an adult, they feel rejected or they feel whatever it is. Like, to me, never had that issue. Other trauma could be, yes, when you're dealing with more serious things like a death of a loved one or a divorce or things that are just extremely traumatic. But those events in our life secrete toxins. Those toxins from those negative emotions get stored in our organs. So I like to make sense of it for people. So when you have grief, that gets stored in the heart. When you have anger, that gets stored in the liver. So different emotions get stored in different organs. And what Marsha does through emotion code is she finds out what the emotion is, what the trauma was that led to that emotion and those trapped emotions. She can find out whose emotion it is, if it's your own emotion or if it's somebody else's emotion, when it started, at what age, and then she basically clears that through letting the body just feel safe to get rid of it. And it is amazing how it changes the way we respond in life in our current everyday situations. It's fascinating. And she is doing amazing and she's awesome. She has such a heart for this. And she's just like, my hands are healing the community. So that's our little slogan around here. We're like, we're going to go heal the community. She's doing amazing. So that is Marsha with Emotion Code. Miranda, she is our patient advocate lead. So she's
love her. Love her.
She's awesome. She is such a unique character. And I love to see all the different personalities that have been brought into this facility because everybody offers just a unique piece. And it is just so cool. Like, it wouldn't be the same without all these people on staff. So she is lead over the patient advocates, and she does bounce around in the rooms, and she just helps out wherever she's needed. She is an awesome team player, as they all are. Lisa is the same. Lisa's background is actually a pharmacist. So she, again, got another one that said, I'm done with all this stuff. So she came on as a patient advocate as well. And since she is a new grandmother, she has backed away a little bit and she does more filling in when we need help or when people are on vacations. And I feel like every time I see her, I'm like, oh, give me a hug. So she is awesome. And then Sarah is also a patient advocate. But she is actually finishing up school to be a health coach right now. And then her dream is to move on and be another practitioner here at the office. So that is hopefully going to start next year. She'll begin training for that. So we'll have our 8th practitioner. Nice. And then we have Corey. She is our newest member, but she is also a patient advocate as well. She does do some of the front desk work. So you might see her up there, but she is awesome. Love that girl. Also unique. I love people walk in and they're like, oh, she's got tattoos everywhere. I'm like, yes, she does. And she is cool. And she is just vibrant. Love her. And then Alicia, she is another one of our patient advocates. And what a patient advocate does, since I'm finishing up on her here, is they just assist the practitioner to make sure that it's run smoothly, that we get patients back as timely as possible. They pull our supplements. They are just on it with what we need in the room so that we're not scrambling around trying to figure out where's this and where's that. They're responsible for making sure that you are walking out with that educational piece at your visits to make sure that you have more knowledge of how to regain your health. So they are a critical piece. And then we move on to Cheryl. Cheryl has been with me, man, it's probably been 7 years now. She actually came on when it was just me and one other staff member. So it was the three of us. And she has grown to see all, or she's been with me while we've grown to see all of this change, and now having 19 employees, and it's just been amazing to have her on. And she's like the little mother hen. She loves to love on all these young girls and just to encourage. But she is our front desk specialist. So she is the beautiful face at the front desk that greets people when they walk in. It's way more than greeting and phone calls and checking people out. It's a doozy up there. I tell them all the time, if I have to sit in, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm number one, no, I'm gonna mess something up. But number two, you all are anointed for this job. Like, this is a lot. And then we have Libby. Libby, if you guys have met Libby, Libby, I don't think I can be around Libby and not smile and laugh. She is a hoot, but she is also a front desk specialist, and she does a great job. She has a banking background. So she came to us from a bank. I don't remember which one. Not that that's important, but she's down at the front desk as well. And she is awesome. She also handles our beauty counter order. So we've been using a non-toxic beauty product, and she does such a great job helping people get what they need to feel pretty. So she's awesome. And then Julie Schmidt, she is our project coordinator. She is behind the scenes doing all of our ordering. She keeps our computer program running smoothly. She's in communication with all the people to keep that going as awesome as it can be. It's all new to us. I think we've had it for maybe 6 months now. And I'm a paper girl. I like writing things on paper. And we moved to computer because we had to with 2 locations. And man, she's like, please don't touch anything until you run it by me. No problem. I will run it by you all day long. So that girl is the brains behind, she's like the Oz. She's behind things, making it work. And then Katie. Katie is yet another amazing asset to this clinic. She is our office administrator. So she oversees everybody at the front desk. She is down at the front desk checking people in and out. But she is just such an encourager, and she does all of our interviewing because just her style of asking questions and making people feel comfortable, and she's just awesome. They're all unique in their own way, and I just feel so blessed to have each and every one of them here.
Yeah, we love all of them. They're all great.
Good. I'm so glad you feel that way.
So are the hours the same at both locations?
No. So the hours at Fort Wright, they are different because we only have one room over there. So okay. We're working on trying to figure out what that looks like, as I still have big dreams of growing more. But right now, currently, Marcia sees emotion code patients on Monday and Wednesday. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, on Tuesday, Christy is there seeing patients for muscle testing. Thursday, Allie, our nurse practitioner, is there seeing patients for the blood work and all of those things. And then Friday, my other practitioner, Maria, she's there seeing patients for the muscle testing. And the hours are different every day there, depending on the practitioner that's there. Well, the nutrition response testing, I've been calling it muscle response testing because it seems to make a little bit more sense to people. Nutrition sounds like we're all only about food, which that's a huge part of it, as we mentioned. But the muscle testing is just a very precise, non-invasive way of testing the body to see what toxins are stuck in the cells in order to get that out so that the tissue of the organs can function the way that they should, and then therefore the symptoms go away. So we are looking at getting to the root of the problem going on in the body. And of course, the symptoms are going to go away when you get to that. So that's what we're doing with the muscle testing piece. The clinically designed nutrition, that is where we are designing a nutrition program with the supplements. So the supplements being nutritional, we're designing a program specifically for each individual. So everyone is different. if somebody comes in, if 9 people came in with migraines, not every single one of them are going to be on the same supplements. Everybody is different. So I might need something of vitamin D where somebody else does not. So that's where it's so specifically designed for that person. So that's what that is. And then, of course, we talked on the nurse practitioner services and the things that she offers, the B12 injections, the different types of hormone testing. And we do a gut zoomer, which is fascinating to figure out what strands of bacteria, good and bad, are in your gut. And therefore, she can pinpoint exactly what kind of probiotic you need. It's just fascinating what the body can tell you. We do have our virtual healthcare program. That is one that's hard to wrap the mind around, but it's based on quantum physics. So I don't know how to explain quantum physics very well. I've tried to study it and it's way over my head, but it is based on the fact that, like, right now we are connecting through this computer. You know, we can see each other, we can talk to each other. So patients can get on the computer via Zoom, and Maria, the other practitioner I have, the nurse practitioner, she can test people virtually. So she uses a device to find out the same thing that we do in person. So fascinating and difficult to explain, but she is getting people well from all over the place. So people are coming to her from other parts of the country. So I'm like, the more people we can reach, the better. Then the emotion code we talked about, and the B12 injections we talked about. So the pulse electromagnetic therapy, that is a mat that can actually create heat or like a fever in the body so that the cells will turn over and get rid of toxins faster. It can help with healing broken bones, injuries, but it's also just great. Like, we've had people that have been sick with the flu or COVID or whatever, and come in, lay on that mat for 30 minutes, and they're literally better by the end of the night. And
is that
good.
Similar to grounding?
Similar, yes, it is similar.
Okay.
And so there are lots of different things we can do with that. There's a specific manual that we read to figure out like what symptoms the person's dealing with in order to know what settings to put it on. So that is, I love it. I think everybody should lay on that. There are certain contraindications, such as pacemakers. You don't want to lay on it if you have a pacemaker. And then if somebody's going through chemotherapy, there are some things that you have to be a little careful with there, but it is awesome. Then we have our heart rate variability analysis. And what that is, that's a tool that we basically are looking at how to determine what is happening inside the body when we put people through a little bit of stress. And all that stress is having them start in a lying position, stand up, sit down, take a deep breath in, hold that breath, bear down like you're having a bowel movement, deep breathe. So just making a lot of changes in the body to see what happens with each of those little changes. How do the organs respond? So we explain it as we're trying to determine how old your body feels on the inside versus how old you actually are. So that way we can get a good baseline and say, okay, you're 50, but your body feels like it's 80. So we need to detox you and we need to get you feeling like a healthy 50-year-old. Mm-hmm. So that test helps us to see where we're starting, and after doing some detoxing, what things are improving. Love that. And then we do have our low level light therapy. What that is basically a light that we use to help get rid of anything that's interfering with healing, in particular with scar tissue. So I'm sure as a massage therapist, you know that scar tissue can be something that people need to work on. But with that tissue, toxins can accumulate in that tissue and just not go anywhere. So the light therapy helps to disperse that up so that the body can just continually get toxins out of areas that it's stored. Fascinating. Again, things that you don't hear about until you know about them. And then we do offer free workshops. We try to do one a month, and we just pick different things that we feel people are interested in. Last week, we did one on easy meal prepping. I think we have one coming up on emotion code so that Marcia and I can talk more about that and explain it to people. And then we'll do one on our fasting so that people can understand how that's helping the body. So we just pick the topics that we feel are important to get out there, and then we just offer those via Zoom. Sometimes we do in person. I feel like people are a little bit more apt to go home and turn on their computer versus come to our office. Even though I love the in-person, it's kind of like the paper. I like to see people and hug people and give them handouts, but But yeah, we offer the workshops as well to just get more education out there. We do. We see people when they're sick just to keep other people who aren't sick from having, mild panic attacks in our lobby. We do have a certain protocol set up that we bring them through the back door. We do not require anyone to wear a mask, and we are not in that ballpark of, you need to be quarantined, but we do have people stay in the room that they're in so that we can check them out and get their supplements without them going up to the front desk if they're coughing or, which, I mean, we should have been doing this all along. So there are lots of things I feel like the shutdowns did to help us, make a few changes. But we do see people when they are sick. It does not matter to me what you have. That's what we're here for. So when you're not feeling well, I want to help you feel well. So I'm not gonna tell you like go do a test first to see what you have and then come in. Like I'm gonna test you to see what you have and put you on the right stuff and get you feeling better.
Will you write school notes?
Absolutely. Yes. We write school notes and work notes. Yeah, so we send out a monthly newsletter. We always have something in there about nutrition response testing, whether it's just something from me thanking the community for, again, trusting us and just loving that people are finding out more about it and referring their loved ones. But we always have somebody on our team that does a modality here have a piece. So my nurse practitioner will put something in there that she's researched on tick bites and what to do with the tick and how, just educational pieces that we feel people don't know about. And again, we're trying to get the information out. We always have something in there about nutrition, usually have a recipe, always love to have a patient testimonial so that people can see like, oh, I have that symptom too. And it's helped with them. We always recommend people joining our workshops. So we make sure they have the link to the Zoom call that we're going to do. And then, of course, we mentioned products that I love that are non-toxic and that are actually good that you don't feel guilty about. And we usually have those included in there as well. And then, of course, introducing anybody that's new to our team. As you see the picture on there, we just introduced Michelle to the team. We love to just have people with their family in a picture so that people can relate to everybody that we have here. Yeah, so we do have our patient portal, and that is how people can see if they've lost their supplement sheet that tells them what to take and when to take it. That's available. The school notes, emailing their practitioner. So that's a lot. It's a lot on the patient portal. Lots of information on there.
I was noticing that you take babies too. You guys will work on babies.
Yes. I always tell moms, especially right when they're getting ready to deliver, I'm like, as soon as you can, bring the baby in. Let's make sure that the supplements that you're taking are okay for the baby. And we just check the baby, make sure everything is good. Because sometimes things will show up and the new mom kind of freaks out. And I'm like, it's kind of taxing coming through the birth canal. Like that's our first trauma of life. So, that's where sometimes the heart can show up because it just worked really hard to get into this world. And it's probably alarming to come from that comfortable, nice, warm little womb to
right.
Got some temperature control you got to do. And what is all this? So yeah, we like to make sure that the baby is doing well and nursing well and doing all the things it needs to do, detoxing from anything if the mom did choose to get, any type of epidural or if it was a C-section. So those are all important things.
So you'll take all ages.
All obviously. Ages. Yep. My oldest patient is 94. So she knows what she likes to take, and and then our youngest, we just had a brand new one. I think it was 2 weeks the other day.
Aww.
So, yeah, absolutely. And then yes, our supplements, we keep all of our supplements. We have supplements at both locations, but for pop-in supplement sales, like if you run out of something or you've learned that Covenant Natural Healthcare has a D supplement or a zinc, then that's all at our Florence location for just pop-ins. Because we don't like to, since we only have one room at Fort Wright, we don't like to interrupt the practitioner or Allie if she's in there with the patient to grab supplements. We want that to be a private time for the patient. Again, me being my makeup and hair care junkie, we have clean makeup. I carry a couple lines of makeup that are non-toxic. We have a couple different lines of skincare as well that's non-toxic. We carry collagen powder and different types of protein powders. We actually have camel milk that does come from a camel, great for all kinds of different ailments. It's tasty, very good. So we have camel's milk. But yeah, we have quite a few products that we have in our retail area. Electrolyte packets. good stevia. Sometimes you got to, those are all the things. It's like you got to be careful of some of these
Right.
things that aren't good ingredients. So we try to carry things that are the best. Thank you so much for having me on. I hope I didn't take up too much of your time. It's been a couple hours.
This has been great.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank you all really, truly for trusting us here.
Oh, thank you for taking care of us.
Absolutely.
Not a lot of people you can trust in these days, like we talked about.
I'm happy to be the one. We're doing 25% off of our initial consultations.